Hey, today is a feature I'm calling Not on the Pole. These are comics that I've picked up from the somewhat local comic book shop that we have here. And these are comics that when they were first announced in solicitations didn't really interest me, but as it got closer to the time of the release, I decided to give them a try, look and see what they're like. I'm a little more critical of these comics because they didn't immediately catch my eye, and I don't have them on my pull list where I've ordered them in advance. So I'm not getting the discount on them that I get when I order most of my comics in advance. So a little more money is spent on them, so a little more money being spent on them means I'm a little more critical of them. And this episode I'm going to talk about the first 2 weeks of the new DC Universe, the relaunch of the 52 as it were. Okay, so anyway, these are the issues that I picked up that aren't on my pull list. Okay, first issue is going to be Batwing #1 by Judd Wittick and Ben Oliver with color by Brian Reber. And I add the colorists in there because I think they're a large part as to why I like this book and I like the way it looks. Initially, this title didn't interest me because I was thinking, why Batwing? I mean, he's in like 3 panels maybe of one of the Batman issues of Batman Incorporated. Why would they pick that person? Why not pick somebody who at least some of the fan base has some already interest in? So this comic started to interest me a little more as it went along, just because the fact is that this really is kind of a, not even a fresh start, this is really an introduction to a totally new character. And pleasantly surprised, I really like the comic. The art in it is really sharp. You know, some people will say there's not a lot to the backgrounds. I don't care. The colors in it are fabulous. It starts out with some great action shots, pulls us back into a little bit of history to get us started on what's happening in the story right at this point, and ends with a pretty significant cliffhanger, making me and the rest of the Oddfellow family wonder, how does he get out of where he's at right now? It has enough seemingly African flavor to it, being in a foreign country. It seems like it's going to address some of the stuff that's in those countries. So this comic, I'm definitely going to get the second issue. Second issue is anything like this issue, I will definitely be probably putting it onto my pull list. Okay, and that was Batwing #1. Good comic. Okay, on to Static Shock #1, written by Ron Rosum and Scott McDaniel, with art by Scott McDaniel. It's one of those comics I wasn't sure I was going to pick it up. Static somewhat interests me. He was an okay character when I read him a little bit in the prior Teen Titans. You know, watched the cartoon. My son, he really dug the cartoon. So we were somewhat interested in this, so I decided by the time it came out that, you know, we'd pick it up. And I'm pleasantly surprised. It's an enjoyable comic. It's not 100% riveting, but yeah, I liked it. It reintroduces the character in a new place in New York City, which is not where he's from, but it does mention the fact that he is from the Dakotas. It interjects a little bit of humor in it. Like I said, it was an all-around interesting and kind of a fun read. Not too deep, standard comic book affair. Introduces some, what I'm assuming, new villains, or at least they're new villains to me. The last page has definitely got us wondering what's going to happen. Is Static going to have only one arm next issue? Real curious. I even had my 10-year-old daughter read this, to see what she thought of it. She's not much of a comic book consumer, really, but you know, she even enjoyed it. So yeah, you know, it's like I said, it's an enjoyable read. I think it, you know, it introduces the character well. It's new reader friendly. Yeah, so I'll be picking up number 2 just to see, you know, see where it goes from there. One interesting note about this is, as of a couple days ago from me recording this, the writer, John Razum, and I apologize if I'm killing your last name here, he's leaving the book. He announced that he's not going to write it any longer. Sounds like between him and DC there's no bad blood or anything, but makes us curious why, you know, first issue's only released and he's already off the book. Kind of curious. We'll see what comes of it. We'll see if they pick up another writer or if McDaniels just gets to do, not just help plot the story, but actually writes the script and whatnot too. Anyway, might be worth checking out. Okay, next up is Demon Knights. For any of you that have played a lot of D&D or role-playing games along those lines, this book reminded me of a first adventure for most of the role-playing games I've ever played, where it's been set in a fantasy reality. Not that that's a bad thing. Demon Knights is written by Paul Cornell and art by, I'm not going to butcher the poor man's first name, but his last name is Knives or Knives. If somebody wants to correct me on that, that would be awesome. At any rate, this was a fun issue. It introduces the characters, gets them all in one place, and has something really bad happening. And it also shows us just how nasty the villains that are in it are. Particularly using a baby to do some scrying of where the future and where the bad guys are supposed to be headed to get the best treasure or whatever was pretty awesome. Because once they're done scrying with the baby goes kerplooey. Brutal, but fun. I dug that. I like the characters that are in this comic. It gives a little different spin on them, you know, to some degree. The Shining Knight's my favorite character in it. She amuses me. So I'm definitely going to be getting the next issue, you know, just to see where it goes now that they've kind of introduced the premise of it. You know, where is it really going to go? But as far as the #1 issue of kind of setting stuff up, I thought it did a pretty decent job. My son is a fantasy person. He really likes fantasy. He keeps telling me, get the next issue, get the next issue. So we'll at least get the next issue and see what it's like. Yeah, it's entertaining. Good stuff.